Imagine being haunted by an invisible force so relentless it drives a man to his grave. The Bell Witch did more than just scare, it killed. This is a true American horror story that will leave you questioning the very nature of reality. In the early 1800s, the Bell family settled in Adams, Tennessee, unaware that their new home would become the site of one of America's most horrifying hauntings. The Bell Witch, an unseen and malevolent entity, tormented the family for years with eerie voices, violent attacks, and mysterious events that defied explanation. The case of the Bell Witch is not just a ghost story. It's a cultural legend that has influenced how we understand supernatural phenomena and continues to baffle and terrify over 200 years later. What really happened to the Bell family on that quiet Tennessee farm? And why does this tale still grip our imaginations today? The Bell family, led by John Bell, moved to the quiet countryside of Adams, Tennessee in the early 1800s. Initially, life was peaceful and prosperous. The Bells were a respected and well-off family, owning a large farm and living a relatively comfortable life. But in 1817, strange occurrences began to disrupt their peaceful existence. It all started with small, inexplicable signs. The first was a strange creature John Bell encountered on his property. Described as having the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit, the creature vanished before John could shoot it. This sighting was followed by other disturbing events. Odd noises, scratching sounds that seemed to come from inside the house, and unexplained footsteps echoing through the halls. Soon, these disturbances escalated. The family would hear knocking on the walls and doors, but upon investigation, no one was ever there. Sheets were ripped from beds in the middle of the night, and the sounds of gnawing on the bedposts and chains dragging across the floor became a nightly occurrence. According to the accounts, John Bell would often remark to his family, "There is something in this house that I can't explain." The entire family was on edge, sensing that something far more sinister was at play. As weeks turned into months, the haunting grew more intense and personal. The entity would eventually identify itself as Kate. It seemed to take a particular interest in the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy Bell. Betsy was subjected to relentless physical abuse. Her hair was pulled, her face slapped so violently it left red marks, and she was pinched and scratched by invisible hands. The torment became so severe that Betsy began showing signs of emotional distress and exhaustion. The entity didn't stop at physical attacks. It began to speak, at first in faint whispers and unintelligible muttering. But soon, in a loud, clear voice, it claimed to be Kate Batts, witch, a reference to a local woman who John Bell had allegedly wronged in a land deal. The spirit, or Kate as it came to be known, often expressed a particular hatred for John Bell, vowing to kill him. The voice was heard not only by the Bell family, but also by neighbors and visitors who would gather at the Bell home to witness the phenomena firsthand. One visitor who was skeptical of the supernatural left the house convinced, saying, "I would not have believed it if I had not heard it with my own ears." Betsy Bell, unable to escape the entity's grasp, tried to find solace in her relationship with Joshua Gardner, a local boy she planned to marry. But even this was not free from the witch's influence. The spirit vehemently opposed the union, constantly harassing Betsy and Joshua until Betsy, exhausted and frightened, called off the engagement in 1821. The entity reportedly told Betsy, "I won't have you marrying Joshua Gardner." The Bell Witch haunting soon became a sensation, attracting the attention of people from all walks of life. Among them was General Andrew Jackson, who would later become the 7th President of the United States. Jackson had heard the stories and was eager to experience the phenomenon firsthand. In 1819, Jackson, who was known for his interest in the supernatural, traveled to Adams with a group of men, intent on investigating the Bell Witch. According to legend, as Jackson's entourage approached the Bell farm, their wagon suddenly stopped, as if held in place by an unseen force. After several attempts to move the wagon, Jackson reportedly exclaimed, "By the eternal, boys, it's the witch!" That night, Jackson and his men experienced a series of terrifying encounters. One of Jackson's men, a self-proclaimed witch tamer, boasted that he could deal with the spirit. However, shortly after making his claim, he began to scream and was thrown from his chair by an unseen force, crying out that he had been struck and pinched. Jackson, fascinated but shaken, reportedly said, "I'd rather face the entire British army than spend another night with the Bell Witch." He and his men left the farm the next morning, adding another layer of credibility and notoriety to the legend. As time went on, it became clear that the Bell Witch, or Kate, had a specific vendetta against John Bell. The spirit's attacks on him grew more frequent and severe, leaving him physically weakened and mentally tormented. John Bell's health began to deteriorate rapidly, and by 1820 he was bedridden. The culmination of the haunting occurred in December 1820. On the morning of December the 20th, John Bell was found dead in his bed. Near his body was a small vial of an unknown liquid. According to the legend, the Bell Witch claimed responsibility for his death, boasting that she had poisoned him. John Bell Jr., one of John's sons, tested the liquid by giving it to the family cat, which died instantly. The family took the vial and threw it into the fire, where it erupted into a blue flame, leaving no doubt in their minds that it was indeed a fatal poison. The witch's voice was heard at John Bell's funeral, laughing and singing loudly, taunting the mourners with its glee over his death. Even after John Bell's death, the witch continued to torment the family, particularly Betsy Bell, who eventually called off her engagement to Joshua Gardner under the spirit's influence. After the engagement was broken off, the witch declared it would leave, but promised to return in 7 years. True to its word, the entity returned in 1828 for a brief period before leaving again, this time supposedly for good. The Bell Witch has become an integral part of American folklore, inspiring countless books, films, and even a town museum. Theories about the haunting range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some believe that the haunting was the result of a family feud gone horribly wrong, while others suggest it was a case of mass hysteria or even a complete hoax. Skeptics argue that the story was embellished over time, turning a series of natural or psychological events into a supernatural legend. Some historians suggest that the tale was a product of the collective fears and superstitions of the time, or possibly a cover for abuse within the family. Others point to the inconsistencies in the various accounts of the story, suggesting that it has been altered and exaggerated over the years. Yet, despite these theories, the Bell Witch story continues to captivate the imagination. The site of the Bell Farm in Adams, Tennessee remains a place of interest, with many claiming that the spirit of the Bell Witch still lingers. The legend has also left a mark on popular culture, influencing horror literature and films, and even becoming the subject of academic studies on folklore and the paranormal. The Bell Witch is a haunting reminder of how deeply the unknown can grip our imaginations. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, this tale will continue to send chills down spines for generations to come. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories about history's most mysterious events.